Hello and welcome to another episode of Becoming the Brand. My name is Hedayat and I'll be your host for today. In today's episode, we're going to be talking to Sam Araki, the CEO of ElementIQ, a digital marketing agency here in Vancouver. Sam, welcome to our show.
Thanks for having me, Mo.
Sam, I've seen you around the office, go in and out, and you're always busy with a lot of things that's going on in the world of digital marketing, and you're always communicating with either the clients or your team. Well, to get started, let us know a little bit about yourself and who you are and how you got started in this world of digital marketing.
Well, that's a pretty loaded question.
Yeah,
but
it is. Yeah.
My education comes from the public relations side of things. So I'm a PR major in school, and that naturally segued into a communications role, and which naturally segued into the digital marketing side of things. And early on, I was involved in the currency trading industry, so Forex, as it's known.
Interesting.
And it was at that time, in about 2007, 2008, 2009, a super competitive industry in terms of online real estate. And so digital real estate, there's a couple of big players in there, and I learned a lot through that process, and one thing led to another, and we started an agency, a couple of business partners and I did, in 2010. So it's been a little bit of a ride for me, and I'm a marketer, and as a marketer, as a PR major, I always was taught that, hey, we're just looking to manipulate how people think the way we want them to think.
Right.
And so from a digital marketing perspective, there's particular purposes that are there for digital marketing. Obviously, people want business through their website or through anything online, and that's the really simple way of explaining it.
Right.
But that's how it started back in that day, and it's continued now to the point where we have a great team, but it hasn't been easy. So I'm sure we'll talk about some of that today.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's never easy when you're running your own business and you're working with partners, you're dealing with clients and a team. There's always something going on in your day that you have to overcome some sort of a challenge, which I think is part of running a business and being a business owner. How did you kind of come to the process that you have now in terms of dealing with your clients from the beginning to the end? How does that look when someone works with you? What has worked for you, then you're successfully deploying it, and what are some challenges that if some of our audience members are kind of listening to this and watching this can gain from your experience and kind of don't go down this road, but perhaps consider this?
Well, don't go down this road is probably to not start an agency. If I were to go back to 2010, I wouldn't have done it. It's too hard for, it was a hard road, and now it's fine, but it's a hard road, making a lot of mistakes and learning a lot of things along the way. And the agency business is not an easy one. But from a client service perspective, the most important things are consistency. And I'm at the point now of boiling things down into simple terms, simplifying the business, simplifying the way that we do our work, and simplifying the way we communicate with our clients in terms that they understand. And I think that's one of the big things from the consistency side of things is consistently communicate. But then there's the gaps of expectation. So what do the clients expect versus what do we know that we're delivering from a service perspective, and are they on the same page? Are we on the same page with them? Yeah. Do they know what we're doing? A perfect example of that is SEO seems to have been a big term over the past 10, 15 years.
Yep.
But is SEO the same to person A as it is to person B, as it is to person C, as it is to person D? It can have different meanings to each person. For some, SEO is everything digital marketing. So I want SEO done, meaning I want a digital marketing program. I want SEO done, meaning I just want to rank number one for particular terms. I want SEO done, meaning there's things on my website that I want SEO'd. So there's different variations of understanding on this, and I think from a client account management standpoint, the biggest thing has been consistency of communication and of expectations and being on the same page and aligning those expectations. Yeah. So those are the things that have at least helped us over the course of time, and even now is the thing that helps us to be successful with good clients and in achieving good results.
Yeah, absolutely. I think setting expectations is very important, and educating your clients on each project. It's not about the first one's like, educating them on, so we do it, this is our process, this is how we do it.
Yeah.
Every project will have a different process that you have to go over, even if you've worked with that same client multiple times on different projects in the past. So you're right, it is very important. I feel the same thing in my world. When somebody says I want video, there's so many different angles and different type of videos, or it's different ways that one message can be shot and created and turned into a visual story.
Right.
But we need to set expectations, timelines, and achievable, things that we can make sure it happens. So that is actually a very important point that I think in any environment, in any business that you're in, is important to kind of consider and pursue with that. The return on the investment of digital marketing, it is also one of those things that people don't know how much they should invest, what's going on, where's the market going. Is Facebook and Instagram eating up my dollars when I put ads out? Does it make a difference who's the right platform, or which is the right platform for me to gain? What are your thoughts on it?
My thoughts are a lot of companies and businesses probably don't have the right priorities and the priorities in the right sequence. And before we think about ROI, it's important to think about, okay, what is the business? And so within ElementIQ and within my own personal marketing, we talk about two pillars. One is positioning, and another one is awareness. Positioning always precedes awareness. And so what positioning means is, hey, who are you? What do you do? How do you do it? Who do you do it for? And why should people hire you to do it for them?
Yeah.
And if that isn't clear, then no amount of awareness is going to help. So you can say, okay, you know what? I want to run Facebook ads and Instagram ads and Google ads, and what's my ROI going to be on these? But hold on a second here. What is the business? So if you are, for example, we have a client who's a repiping company, plumbing company really, but they specialize in repiping.
Okay.
So we know that they are positioned as a repiping company. And not just a repiping company, but they do everything from beginning to end in repiping. And so they don't, because a lot of plumbing companies will contract out the beginning and the end, and will just do the piping installation. So in a situation like that, okay, we know that we're not going to be bidding on all sorts of different plumbing keywords over here when we're advertising. We know what we're focused on here. So we can focus on that and understand, okay, if we put $1,000 in Google ads to a number of different repiping ads, what kind of business is coming back through that? And then within that, it's important to track it. So what kind of analytics funnels do we have set up? What kind of conversion metrics do we have set up? And within that, we can say, okay, well, for this campaign, for $1,000, we got this many clicks to this page. We had this many people convert through. So it's kind of like a funnel. So let's say we have 1,000 people, 100 people who clicked on it. And then out of those 100 people, maybe 20 submitted their information. They're interested. Well, you have those 20 people. Out of those 20 people, how many turned out into actual clients? That's right. And then we work with the client to determine what the ROI is on that. And it's what kind of return on ROI or return on investment are you getting? And if it's more than 2 to 1, 3 to 1, 4 to 1, then it's probably working. So then we explore different areas. But you've got to know who you are and what you want to advertise first before you go off into putting advertising programs together.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. It is always important to determine what the message is. Without knowing what the message is, you don't know who are you going to target this to.
Yeah.
If you just blanket it out to everybody, like the old mailers, where you used to get a certain block within the post office.
I still get those.
You still get those? I remember working at the real estate office, same thing. We used to kind of pick a block. It's about 400 homes in these areas. We're going to print out 400 postcards and send them out. You have no idea who clicked, who touched, who did anything. And with that, it may not actually work. Some people would dominate that situation as well. So absolutely, I completely agree where you need to have that clear before you go in. And it helps all your other marketing aspects as well. When somebody works with me at a later point in that funnel of what their message is, it's easier for me to give them ideas and suggestions on what type of content to create. When I know what their message is, If they come in and say, I don't know, I just want to get things out, it's like, I have no idea where to start with this. Because I can create something assuming that this is what you want to sell, and all of a sudden, when people come in, it's like, I can't sell those, I don't make those, or I'm not great at those. You're getting the wrong audience. You may be even getting stuff in, and it's great. I'm getting a lot of phone calls, but they want this other plumbing job done. And we don't do that. We specialize in this area.
In terms of failures or challenges, they happen all the time because we're in a service-based industry, and we're in an industry that where there are no guarantees, and there's no guarantees to things. So you work with a particular client, and maybe the client is completely unreasonable, irrational, whatever it is. And not to point everything at the client, but I think from the agency perspective and from a marketing consultant perspective, we always have to be able to work through and identifying, okay, is this particular client going to be a good fit for us in the way that we operate, in the way that we do things, in the way that our systems are set up? Maybe there'd be a great client for somebody else, but we have to make sure that they're a good fit for us. And sometimes we don't make the right decision on that. But on the other side of things, sure, there are some particular campaigns that just won't work the way that we want them to. And a lot of times we're beholden to these advertising platforms too. And for example, with Google, we've worked with, for example, an addiction recovery center in the past. And there are so many blacklisted keywords that you can't advertise for. But when you're operating an addiction recovery center, you need to be able to capture the searches that people are actually searching for, looking for help.
Yes, that's true.
Like I have whatever, a drug addiction, I have a cocaine addiction, I have an alcohol addiction, but we can't advertise for those. So how do we get around that? Are questions that we have, and sometimes we just can't. There's other times where maybe it's just not our particular specialty when it's selling a particular type of widget on Amazon, for example. And so we've learned that that particular type of client is not a fit for us. And so more and more, as I've led an agency now for going into our 13th year, is understanding what fits for us and what doesn't, so that we put our team and into winning situations, into good situations.
Yeah, and it again comes down to setting expectations. Where, what's the point of taking on a client when you know you can't serve them well? No one wins from that situation. Everyone leaves with a bad taste in their mouth. You're not happy because you hate working, or your people hate working with this type of client or projects.
Yeah.
And on the other side, the client will feel that maybe you're not good enough, as you say you are. And it affects, I think, you as a business, where you're taking on projects that it seems like, even though you know what you're talking about, but this specific area is not your niche or not your comfort zone. And, I know people take on projects that sometimes they don't, can't continue. But at the same time, I think setting the right expectations with the clients from the beginning, even before getting involved with them, is great, because you avoid failures in that situation on both sides. And more than anything, you waste a lot of time. What are your thoughts on where the future of digital marketing is going with all these algorithms and AIs coming into our existence, I guess you could say?
Well, it's definitely interesting. And I think from a personal perspective, it's interesting for me to take part in and to play around with it and do things. It's still at really an early stage where OpenAI has ChatGPT, and Microsoft is pouring billions into it too, and Google has their own that they're releasing here in the short-term future. And so it is important. Relative specifically to what we do now, it is less relevant because we're really on the advertising side, on the paid ad side of digital marketing, and also on the Google Analytics side, so the data and analytics side of things. And so it's less influenced by the AI, the ChatGPT side of things right now as it stands. And so while I think it's really important, and it's important from a content perspective and from an SEO perspective, and to see what comes out, and I've even asked my daughters, I have 2 teenage girls, and I've asked them, hey, what kind of questions have you been stumped on in tests recently? Let's put it into ChatGPT and see what ChatGPT says.
Interesting.
And so that's been an interesting social experiment for me with my own kids. But outside of that, for me, I do think it's important. I do think it's important to stay on top of things, to see how it evolves too. Yep. And it was my birthday recently, and one of our team members had ChatGPT create an animated image of me. It was awesome.
Interesting.
So holding a birthday cake, right? So things like that are great. But in terms of ChatGPT in a box creating great converting Facebook ads or Google ads, it's not there yet.
Yeah, I can see that. I think there's still a human element that is involved in getting to the results that you are looking for. I mean, we can't be scared and thinking that it's Skynet and the Terminator is going to come and we're going to be, stuck in the Matrix, or maybe we are. We have no idea. Is this air that we're breathing? But essentially, if you look at it from that perspective, we have to kind of move forward. Obviously the internet came in, and I remember, phones, when digital phones came into existence, there was a bit of a, I can't use a phone without buttons. I need an actual button on a phone. And now here we are touching a screen, and doing everything within these phones they have no buttons really on the screen for us to touch.
And then you have foldable screens, and you have,
The one thing that we have to realize is we are progressing. We're evolving as humans throughout the generations and all the decades and all the experiences that we gain and become a hybrid human being is what we're kind of going towards that. Where we, obviously right now we are hybrid. We cannot survive without our technology. Most of our businesses, you and I can't be in business without technology. We can, try our best, and write a whole bunch of, newspapers and paint and all that stuff, but it's not going to get across. So a lot of businesses rely on technology, which means that the only way for us to continue down this path is for it to become better. And we have to adapt to the environment that we're given. We can't fight it. We can't say, that, I want to stick to the traditional way of communication or marketing or doing things. We either adapt or we fall behind and we fade away in history. So I think my perspective on these AIs and all these technologies coming, to our, at our disposal for us to be able to utilize, just like anything else, you can use it for good or evil, or you can use it to gain from it, or you can sit back and complain that this is taking over your life and you can't move on. The one thing I think we can do is, as whoever adopts these things earlier will end up understanding and harnessing the capabilities and the powers that it comes with. So it's up to you whether you want to harness your superpowers or just fight them off.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who harness crypto and then they got pulled into the wrong direction recently. But it's true, But there's different waves that we go through, and to smaller waves to some extent over the past number of years. There's been a voice search, so it's like I think it was like 2019 maybe. It's like voice search is going to 2018. Voice search is going to be the thing this year. Well, you know what? My Siri still thinks that I want to go to Australia when I ask for directions sometimes. Yeah. And so instead of somewhere else in Coquitlam. And so SMS messaging. Oh, SMS messaging. I had somebody in my office. It was about 8 years ago. SMS messaging is the next big thing. Well, no, not really. Granted, this whole AI thing, ChatGPT, is a much bigger thing, but it's one of those things that, yes, it's great, but where does it go from here? Yeah. And that'll be the most interesting thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes technology has this thing about it where it starts off as something else and it ends up becoming something completely different and not what you really expected it to go in that direction. It happens constantly in the world of technology because the early adopters will take a certain direction. One huge factor is VR. How many years have we been trying to do these VR glasses and that we haven't succeeded? We still can't immerse ourselves into the metaverse, and even if you do, it's very poor. It seems like Nintendo 64 quality sometimes. So we still have a lot more to go before we get there.
Do we not have Second Life 10, 15 years ago?
Yes,
and now we have, it's the reincarnation of Second Life.
Yeah.
With this whole metaverse thing. And so, yeah. And what is the big deal with Roblox? My kids play Roblox and I can't stand it, but it's Anyway, there's all these different things that we're subjected to now. And so technology definitely is interesting. Technology definitely makes our lives easier, but technology also complicates our lives in a variety of different ways too. So it's a good time to be living in 2023, I suppose.
Can you share a little bit about what the future of ElementIQ looks like, and why you feel that that's the direction that you want to take the company?
It's a matter of really me getting old. I'm old. And there's 3 goals. We're going through a pivot right now. It started in about September of 2022. And there's really 3 objectives to the pivot. And the first one is to simplify the business. And the second one is to further structure the business. You can call it systems, SOPs, whatever you want, but really rock solid systems to drive the business. And number 3 is to be smart about it. And so it's like the 3 S's. But simplifying it was really has been the predominant theme. And since the very beginning, ElementIQ has been a multi-channel digital marketing company. By multi-channel, I mean a channel can be SEO, another channel could be paid search, another channel could be email marketing, another channel could be social media marketing, another channel could be video marketing, whatever it is. You put all these different channels together, and that's a multi-channel digital marketing campaign. And so we would work these multi-channels. So depending on the client, it could be 6 channels, or it could be 2 channels, it could be 3 channels, it could be 4 channels. And I realized over the course of the past 2-3 years that we can't really be great at any one particular thing when we're spread so wide.
Yep.
And if we want to scale as an agency, we can't scale with these broad-based digital marketing campaigns, because then we just need, as more email clients come in, we need to build up the email side of things. As more social media clients come in, okay, we need social media people, and then paid search people, and SEO people, and our team is 15 right now. And the team cannot just keep on growing like that. We need to be able to scale with our current team. Great team, but we were put in not so great situation because we were spread thin. And so the pivot, it really is into 2 predominant channels. One is paid search. So within paid search, there's Google, Facebook, Instagram, advertising, programmatic, LinkedIn, Pinterest, and TikTok. And so that's not all clients will be within all of those. I would say the majority of our clients, 90% of our clients, would be in a combination of Google, Facebook, Instagram.
Yep.
Now, Google has many sub areas within it. It's not just Google search. And so it's a big channel in itself, but that's where we're going. So that's one predominant channel. And the other one is Google Analytics. So Google Analytics 4 specifically, because Google is sunsetting Universal Analytics, or Google Analytics 3, in July. All businesses using Google Analytics, which is the vast majority of businesses online now, will need to transition to Google Analytics 4. And they're 2 different data models.
Interesting.
And so businesses don't understand this. And so it's a great opportunity for us. We've gotten in deep with Google Analytics 4. Our entire team is Google Analytics 4 certified. And we have a specific GA4 team now too internally. And so those are the 2 areas that we're focusing on growing into as the year goes on. So when other clients come to us, we do work for other agencies too on a gray label basis usually. And within that, I was asked, hey, can you send me your SEO packages, because one of our clients is looking. And I told them, I said, there's no such thing anymore for us. So yes, we do have a couple of your clients on SEO plans. So we're keeping the legacy clients as is. But moving forward, we're focusing in these 2 areas.
Yeah, it makes sense, because now you know where you're strong at, and you know where you can drive and make a significant difference and make an impact.
Yes, ads gets results too.
Absolutely.
We can set up an ad account, and we can start getting results immediately. And we can combine it with the data side of things, and we can get deep into where people are coming from, how they're coming, and what they're looking at on the site, and whether they're converting or not, how many times they're coming back, and maybe reasons why they're not converting. And we can change how we're advertising as a result of that data. So,
yeah, interesting. Me being involved in the video production side of things and creating video marketing materials and content and working with agencies like yourself or working directly with the clients and their marketing teams and coming up with it. How do you see the video kind of progressing in current world? I mean, do people, should they use video, or do you find that from your experience and your clients, it hasn't been, a major need, depending on the type of clients that you serve?
Video has an absolute importance within the side of social and of advertising, social advertising. And within that, to be specific, it's video shorts. So video shorts, TikTok has come and has revolutionized this video short side of things.
Yep.
So when we talk about that, and we're not talking about long form video, but we're talking about short, snappy videos that I think a lot of people spend, minutes and hours of their day probably scrolling really quickly through these video shorts in Instagram or TikTok, even on YouTube now. So YouTube Shorts really provides a great opportunity for a lot of visibility for companies too.
Yes.
So sure, TikTok and Instagram are there, but YouTube is there also with their ecosystem. And so overall, for our clients and for anybody that is looking to get involved in social or social advertising at all, those video shorts are dynamite because, and not just to do them just for the sake of doing them, but they've got to have a particular purpose to them, which is why they work with UMO, and we can come up with suggestions for things, themes of things, but we don't produce those sorts of things.
Yeah.
And now, because phones are so great and the quality of the video is so great, there are some creators out there who are just basically using their phones. They've gotten so good at it. I wouldn't suggest everybody go out and do it like this, because these creators out there right now are so good. They've got their systems dialed in where it looks like a professionally produced video, but they're doing it on their phone with any combination of tripod, a little bit of lighting, and angles, and their message, and they're doing a great job with it.
Yeah.
So,
but it's a storyteller that really accomplishes that. Like you said, when you work with creators that can make it work well versus somebody just going on their own and doing it, it's a huge difference. Although I think to a certain degree, there is elements of training and educating the clients or a staff member to be able to capture certain things.
Definitely.
that we've done it where we tell the client, listen, we'll come and train you, we'll help you, we'll guide you on what things you need to capture or your staff to capture on a regular basis when things happen, because we can't be there all the time. We can't be in your business. You see things that we will miss when we come to visit to capture your story. In between, if we can train you, capture it, give it to us, we'll edit it and we'll adjust it as long as you follow our guidance on capturing these things. And usually because these clips are within 10 to 15 seconds, there is not much room for error. And then we use different elements to make sure that whatever errors they have, we can cover it in post-production. That it seems like they've actually, went through so much. And that to me is part of the fun of, how can I get my client to be part of this journey with me and have them appreciate the strategy we're going through, because essentially we're all working for the same objective for your clients to gain from you. I would love to talk a lot more, but it seems like we've run out of time, and there's so much, I think, knowledge and information that you're feeding us. It's awesome and it's great, and I think the audience will gain so much from this podcast. I know I have in this short period of time. But Sam, thank you so much for taking the time and meeting with us. I know we've been trying to do this podcast for past few months, but I'm so happy. I'm so glad that we were able to do this, because I think the information and the valuable things you're bringing in, specifically at this time, we're starting the new year. We're going into a whole new year. A lot of companies are planning the strategies for marketing. So this is a great way for them to gain some insights and knowledge on how to work with a digital agency, but also if they decide to go in that direction, what to prepare for when they approach a company so they can gain the most out of what they want to accomplish from the project.
Absolutely. No, thank you. I appreciate your time today, Mo. Appreciate you for having me, and I'm glad that we're able to make it work out for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for being a part of the show. And remember to leave your comments and subscribe to our show and watch our show or listen to our show wherever you listen to your podcast. I'm Mo Hedayat, and we'll talk to you soon.